Huge game coming up for Liverpool Sunday against Manchester United. Jules, how do you assess where they are right now? And also, what do you make of Klopp's comments last week, pointing out that United have had more penalties in 2 years than Liverpool have had in 5.5 years? Is this mind games?
Mind games. I love it. It's great. And it's true. However, if you look at just at this season, they've had the same amount of penalties. So I don't think that gives you an edge or anything like this. But Liverpool, the last 3 games have been in the league, I've been fairly disappointed. As we know, the defeat at Southampton, the draws, the one with Newcastle especially, the one with West Brom as well, I guess. Plus, there was the one with Fulham before. We thought, after the win against Palace, when they won 7-0 and they destroyed them, that, okay, the boss was back. But now the dynamic has changed a little bit. So a huge game. Maybe that's the best game that could happen for them.
They look tired, but I think also you're right. It's a good situation. You have a chance to go back top, and you will have had what, like 9-10 days to rest. And as far as these penalties are concerned, Klopp doesn't do mind games.
Nah, but Manchester United do it the hard way, but my boy Paul Pogba scores a worldie, kind of, because there's a little deflection on it, but still to be Burnley and take United to the top of the league. Gab, you wrote a column about this.
There was a deflection, Jules, but it was
beautiful.
Wonderful coordination, beautiful to do. Yeah, look, I don't think it's necessarily relevant that we look at this and say, well, they probably won't win the league anyway, and City and Liverpool are better sides. I think they are better sides. I don't think they'll win the league. But it's the first time they're top of the league in 8 years. And the point I made in my column was, and we'll find out if this was the right decision, but I just think it was interesting, and corporations do this all the time, right? After bringing in big, proven, brand name managers who are going to rock the boat and who are going to be disruptors, to use a venture capital word, they went for the company man. And it's not an insult. Jan Åge Fjørtoft called him a company man.
Yeah, exactly, the debate.
They went for him, and now they're further along in terms of results anyway.
Yeah.
It's up to Solskjaer now to build on this. Yeah. But it does give them that little bit of capital that I think gives them more room to maneuver. No Lionel Messi, but Barca eventually overcome Real Sociedad in the Spanish Super Cup Final Four on penalties. Jules, what did you make of it?
Well, we talked about AVB and saying that Marseille were the better side and lost that game, which was not true. However, you could say that for Real Sociedad, and I think you'd be right, because I thought they were the better side.
Without David Silva as well.
Without David Silva, Ter Stegen was by far, and I mean by far, the best player on the pitch and in the Barca team. And when your goalkeeper is the best player by far, it's never a good thing. But without Messi, maybe that was to be expected. This is a team that's still so dependent on him. And without him, I think they look a bit lost at times.
Yeah, Ter Stegen did the Messi impression in this game.
Yeah, exactly.
But by the way, how did Frankie de Jong do that, twisting his body like a weird pretzel?
It was a bit of a matrix, the way he stood in the air and headed the ball. That was pretty good. Staying in Spain, Atletico Madrid beat Sevilla 2-0 in one of the games in hand they had to play on Tuesday night to extend the lead at the top of La Liga table to 4 points, and they still have 2 games in hand. Gab, how big was that? Because Sevilla, as we've been saying, were in good form.
I think it's huge, and I'll tell you what, this is the Atleti that is Jekyll and Hyde, right? This was old school Atleti that we saw here. Correa coming up big for them. This was Super Cholo 1.0, and that's fine. And it's the way you want to play against a Lopetegui team. And Sevilla, of course, coming off that win over the weekend against Real Sociedad with a Nesri hat-trick. I thought this is another team that you've knocked off, a top 6 team where you could have lost points to. It's big. And I think they can go ahead and do this.
And how good is Jules Koundé, though, at Sevilla? Oh, my God, Jules, I love you so much.
Yeah, get excited about the French guy.
So
after
much,
they concede 2 goals.
so much.
Bayern Munich won't be winning the treble this season. In fact, if you count what happened Wednesday night as a defeat, they've lost more games in the first 13 days of January than they have in the entire 365 days of 2020. They gave up an injury time equalizer to second division Holstein Kiel and then lose on penalties. Jules, can we stop with this best team in the world nonsense and assess the fact that there's serious issues right now?
Yeah, they're not right now the best team in the world. They're nowhere near the team they were when they won the Champions League, when they were walking on everybody else. And Flick played a really strong team. Let's not think that he played the kids because he was a second division team in Kiel in the Cup. No, this was a really strong team. And Lewandowski was on the bench, but he still came on.
Pavard, Lucas Hernandez, Tolisso, Muller, Neuer. That's 5 world champions that's there. Plus Gnabry, plus Sané, plus Lewandowski coming on. Plus Kim, come on,
they were
man.
strong. And you know what's disappointing? I don't know why Benjamin Pavard doesn't take a penalty in the shootout. I mean, he's a World Cup winner. He's far more experienced than Marc Roca, for example, who, bless him, missed it and cause this team the defeat.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
Mark
mean?
Rock is a more technically skilled
I know,
player.
but still. Inter are taken to extra time by Fiorentina in the Coppa Italia, and Romelu Lukaku has to come off the bench to get it done and score the winner. Gab, how are they looking ahead of their big clash with Juve this weekend?
Well, no doubt, Conte will point out that they're going to be more tired because
Of
there's extra
course.
time, although Juve had to play extra time too.
Yeah.
Look, what was interesting to me, what stood out for me about this game is he played Christian Eriksen deeper, in a deep playmaking role, in the Braz role.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Me
You know,
too.
I wonder if this means, first of all, he can play that role. He's done similar roles in the past. But secondly, I wonder if it means that maybe he's having a rethink. Oh, look, maybe it's
Surely
actually
not.
impossible. Maybe it's impossible to sell this guy because he makes way too much money. Maybe I keep him, and maybe he unlocks
Reinvent
defenses
him.
for me. Maybe reinvent him. Why
Yeah,
not?
why not?
Manchester City beat Brighton 1-0 as Pep sticks to the strikerless system and Raheem Sterling misses a late penalty. They're up to third. They have a game in hand. But, Jules, were you expecting a bit more?
A little bit, I have to say, a bit more urgency at times, but they were comfortable because Brighton came to defend clearly.
Well, with like 6 central defenders
They
in
had
the lineup.
6 centre-backs. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen this before. And I know they were not all playing centre-backs.
No.
But 6 centre-backs.
I don't think he was expecting that from Potter. And again,
No.
and also, I certainly wasn't expecting him to leave out, Mopé and Gross and some of these other guys.
No, but hey, they did the job. Again, another game where they don't concede. By far the best defense in the league. And they're still looking really strong and marching on, really.
Yeah.
Juventus also need extra time to win their Coppa d'Italia game against Genoa. And they also have to bring Ronaldo off the bench. Gab, what do we read into this?
Well, we read into this that Juventus could care less about the Coppa Italia because they played all these guys. When you start seeing shirt numbers of 50, 68,
Yeah.
they played all these dudes, Wesley, Dragusin.
Yeah, Hamza Fayad, the Tunisian
Who scored
from
a
Lyon,
goal?
yeah,
Yeah,
scored a goal.
That's fine. They move on. They move forward. They got the kids some playing time, and they're going to be better rested at the weekend. Now, how about some love for Carletto Ancelotti and Everton? They beat Wolves, and they're joint third, despite playing Sigurdsson and James Rodriguez. This has to be the slowest
I love it.
front two
Love it.
in history. Perhaps one of the most technically gifted, but come on, man.
It's almost like if Carlo wanted to take the mickey out of the force number 9, geniuses and stuff. And look what I can do better than you. I can have Sigurdsson and James in there.
We have to point out Dominic Calvert-Lewin
Yeah.
injured. Cenk Tosun not very good, so maybe that's why. But
Or maybe it was not James Rodriguez, but maybe James Rodriguez, as Jamie Redknapp called him on Sky Sports. I don't know who that player was, James Rodriguez. But hey, a good win for them. And they, as we said, they're doing a great job there. Zlatan Ibrahimovic returns to the starting lineup, but Milan still need penalties and Tatarusanu to be the hero to beat Torino and move on to the next round of the Coppa d'Italia.
They go penalties, but hey, they move forward. And I think the big thing here is that Zlatan plays.
Yeah, you give him some
90
time, some
minutes. We saw
minutes,
Calabria midfield again.
Yeah.
Could be an alternative if Kalulu turns out to be as good as some French people think he is. So all good there. The Sun reports that Nuno Espirito Santo was very close to taking the Arsenal job before they turned to Mikel Arteta instead. Would this have made sense, or would this have been a mistake, or is
not
this
sure? Not sure, and I'm
you
not
think
even
this is just
sure
something
this is
that,
true.
I think this might be something that somebody, not him, obviously,
Of course not him.
but somebody in the Mendesso sphere,
Somewhere.
perhaps kind of totally invented.
Yeah,
Because you really want to hand the club to those people
Yeah.
rather than the nice people running
And
it
again,
now.
Arsenal are happy with Mikel Arteta anyway, so I don't think they would have any regrets, even if that was true. The investigation into Luis Suarez and Juventus general manager Fabio Paratici continues, Gab, of him trying to get a passport and doing the exams and all of that. Is the club really in trouble? And should it be in trouble?
I mean, again, they keep looking into this. Again, for those who weren't paying attention, obviously Luis Suarez was available. They had reached a deal to sign him, but he had to get his EU passport because there's a limit on the number. Because weirdly, even though he's been in Spain for 10 years, the guy still doesn't have an EU passport. To do that, he had, of course, to take an Italian test. As it turned out, the test was pretty much rigged. And those people who gave him the test are in serious trouble. The question is, how much did Fabio Paratici, Juventus' general manager, have to do with this? We know he called in some favors. He called a government minister who's a childhood friend of his. But the point you're making is, by the time that he went to take his test, we had already gone for Morata instead. So we are out of this at this point.
Yeah.
If he did do something he wasn't supposed to do, this is all on Luis Suarez. Luka Jovic is reportedly on the verge of going back to Eintracht Frankfurt on loan, where he'll replace the legendary Bastos, of course, who's moved on to Bruges. Jules, does this mean that Real Madrid might bring in another body up front this January?
I don't think so. I think they'll have Mariano Diaz and Karim Benzema, and I think they'd be happy with that.
Wait, but you need to replace him in the Jovic role and the role of the guy who never played. Plays and sits at the end of the... Wait, Mariano can do that.
Mariano can do that. And then I guess you put him out on the market. He will play regularly with Frankfurt, which doesn't do for you. And his stake will hopefully rise. And maybe you sell him, or at least if he comes back full of confidence if he's had a good second half of the season. You know, it could be a win-win for Real. Or a lose-lose. I guess you don't know. Social distancing on goal celebrations is now apparently a thing in the Premier League, with some suggesting that players should do more to avoid spreading the virus. So no, just before you answer, so I understand it well, you should not be allowed to celebrate with your own teammates who are in your bubble, who you see every day, right?
Yes, and who you train with every day. Okay. Look, I don't know where this story has come from, but it's become a big thing.
Wow.
We both live in London. We read the English media.
Yeah.
They talked about it last night. I don't know why all of a sudden it's an issue when, you know, maybe it's because there's a more virulent strain of the virus. I don't know. But it just seems very, very odd to me when these people are being tested continuously. The other thing that's odd to me is in highlighting this, they're all praising Harry Kane because they showed his goal celebration where, you know, rather than going and hugging people, he just went and he high-fived them, right? And I'm thinking, okay, but we're all told that we need to wash our hands constantly, right? If this really is such a big issue, surely people touching another dude's hands when your hands are the most likely thing to go in your eyes.
I agree with you.
I don't know. I take a step back to the science. I praise Harry Kane for trying to do something about it. I think we should wait until we have actual legitimate advice and not play pretend epidemiologist here.
I'm with you completely.
Lucas Torreira isn't working out at Atletico Madrid, and reports say he could be joining Valencia on loan. Is this a better option, I presume, than bringing him back to Arsenal, Jules? Especially now that Thomas Partey's fit again, right?
The best option
space.
The best option is that he plays, wherever that is, at Arsenal if you want to bring him back, but there's no point bringing him back if he's on the bench and he's your fourth or fifth choice in midfield, and then he's going to play like 5 minutes there and 2 minutes there in the cup and things like that.
If Partey stays fit, because otherwise you're back to... El Neni every week.
Chaka, but of course, then bring him back. But again, bring him back if he plays. Otherwise, may as well play him somewhere else where he will play, get fit, get all those minutes and etc. Chucky Lozano comes up big for Napoli in the Coppa Italia. They beat Empoli 3-2. Gab, could he be Rino Gattuso's not really secret weapon, but still a secret weapon?
Could be. He's certainly playing a lot better this year.
Yeah.
And remember, and I've said this again and again, Mertens and Osimhen are really good players, and they're out. It was only the cup. It helps his confidence. And what's interesting is until Osimhen returns, Napoli are completely different sides if Lozano plays up front or if Petagna plays up front, right? Because one guy's got speed and runs behind. The other guy is basically just a big lump who holds the ball and scores goals and works hard. So I really like, I know everybody laughs at me when I say, Napoli could still be the title hunt. I really like the squad. I think they're really, really good. Yeah. And Lozano's a big part of that. Tim Fosu-Mensah has joined Bayer Leverkusen. And, of course, my friend Peter Bosz. Jules, could this kickstart his career, given that United went through all the trouble of bringing him back and then they don't play him, they don't give him a new contract?
Yeah, certainly. And you would think that Bayer Leverkusen... investing on him is to play him, to develop him, and they clearly see the talent that is there, and I think he is talented. So good move for him. He had to go because there was no point staying if you were not playing at all, and he's still young enough to have a good career ahead of him. You saw Paul Pogba and Eric Bailly saying goodbye to him, which was quite emotional because I think they were all very close. And good luck to him in Germany. Manchester City have signed a partnership agreement with Bolivar in Bolivia, the biggest club in Bolivia. Gab, there's another angle to this. The City Group obviously have plenty of clubs everywhere. Troyes, by the way, in France, a few weeks ago as well.
There's a difference with these other clubs. They have stakes in, right, that we know about, New York City FC and Melbourne and Yokohama Marinos. Here, it's just a partnership agreement. Now, the reason it's interesting is, okay, cynics are going to go out and say, oh, look, City are going to do that thing where they sell them their intellectual property for $1 billion, zillion. And I don't think it's that. But I think the question mark would raise for me, and I'm hoping MLS look into this, is the guy who owns Bolivar, the president, is a guy named Marcelo Clare, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, who the dude wears many, many hats because he's also the owner of Inter Miami.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden he's got a commercial partnership agreement with Manchester City and is part of, or no, with Manchester
City Group,
with
yeah.
City Football Group. City Football Group own another team in MLS.
Yeah.
To me, this seems like a pretty evident conflict of interest. And again, before the City fans get angry at me, it's not City's business.
No.
It's not City's fault. But this guy has his finger in many different pots. He also happens to be the chief operating officer, I think, of SoftBank, who, of course, were the ones who were going to put up 20 billion or whatever the crazy figure was to have the Club World Cup and whatever, and who they also own WeWork and Masashi, all this stuff. I mean, I don't know. I think the story's kind of flown under the radar. And again, City fans, nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, from an MLS perspective, shouldn't there be rules about this?
Maybe, yeah, conflict of interest a bit somewhere.
Just a little.
Just a little.
Unai Emery has revealed that he didn't want to sign Nicolas Pepe, but wanted Wilfried Zaha instead. Now, would things have turned out differently for him and for Arsenal?
I don't know. Maybe, Gab, maybe. But it's true. They even spoke on the phone, Unai and Wilfried Zaha. Unai explaining him how he wanted to play him and all of that. Yeah, maybe it would have been different. I don't know. They're a different player, him and Pepe. You know, it's not the same. And
he's also would have cost the same money, and he's like 5 years older.
He's 5 years older, but you could also say that he knew the league, though.
Which is what Emery did say.
Yeah, so okay. I don't know. I really don't see that. I don't think you should see transfer like this. It's always easy with inside to say, oh, we should not have signed him, but we should have signed him. Or we should have done this and not that.
I say this with a maximum love for Emery, who's doing a fine job again.
Yeah,
back
Villarreal.
in Spain, of course, at Villarreal and Champions League places. Do you think it was the phone call and hearing Emery's voice on the phone to Zaha, which killed the whatever? Maybe you should have spoken. Whatever. Sorry, I'm being unkind.
No, former Barcelona president and current, how do you say?
Presidential candidate?
Candidate. Joan Laporta claimed that the club had the chance to sign Cristiano Ronaldo way back in 2003, but that he has no regret that he did not. I mean, Gab, one, is he lying? And two, how cool would he have been to see Messi and Ronaldo in the same team? So surely he regrets it anyway if it's true.
And three, if you're running for president, is that really something you want to say? Like, oh yeah,
hey,
we could have signed him.
But for me, look what I did 20 years ago. I missed on one of the greatest ever.
No, and on top of that, I have no regrets about it. I could put Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi together in a Barca shirt for 20 years, and I don't regret doing it.
Yeah, sign for me.
I don't know. Look, obviously, this is fantasy football stuff. I've made this point before, right? We've never had two legitimate 100% GOAT candidates, greatest player of all time candidates at this level, playing together as teammates on a club side.
You want to see it, don't you?
I would love to see it before these people retire. They would have to take huge pay cuts. It would have to be somewhere. I'm hoping, with no disrespect, I'm hoping it's not in MLS. I'm hoping it's not, in the Gulf somewhere. I'm hoping it's for a cool team. It would be really cool if it happened, if they. Here, I'll give you one.
Okay.
What if they decide final year before they retire? Okay, 6 months together, right?
Yeah.
At Newell's, and then 6 months together at Maritimo or whatever.
Oh yeah,
He wants to go home, man. Let him go home.
Okay.
All right. Is it Maritimo?
Yeah,
whatever. That would be cool. But hey,
wow.
Who knows? We're in fantasy land. But yeah, Laporta, if you wanted my vote, and I don't get a vote in the Barcelona presidential elections, you just lost it by saying this. This is a silly thing to say.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.